Caleb Williams, USC, 6'1", 215 pounds is what I've got. The way I've got this, I don't want to get carried away with this, but I've written down that he's a Mahomesian deep threat playmaker with elite pocket movement. Projection into an NFL offense is really my only true question about him. So he started playing in 2021, right? Backing up Spencer Rattler. There we go. As a freshman, but came in after Rattler was benched in week 6. He's kind of a dual threat QB. This is just his physical attributes. He's I think he shows great upper body strength when he's in the pocket. Kind of, he can kind of dodge guys off, and in the running game, he has a little bit of upper body strength. His skill set, I put pocket movement and escapability. I'm not sure that he'll even test that amazingly. And this is where I'm kind of looking at Mahomes, right? I'm not sure that if you task him with just running in a straight line, he's even going to be that impressive. But he has this great feel for the pocket, right? Sliding around, making guys miss. And that's the Mahomesian element. You know, he's not like a Lamar athlete, but it complements his downfield creativity, I feel like. He can extend plays. He's guiding guys around on plays. He's kind of got that creativity I speak about, but he's not. Do you remember last year that the question with Bryce Young was, although he's got that Mahomesian thing to him, he is very small and very slight, and he does struggle to see over the line sometimes, and there is that on the other. So he has to play out of structure. I think Caleb Williams is maybe the best of both worlds. He can do both.
Interesting.
Go on, talk to me.
It's tricky because Bryce Young was a kind of creating out of structure guy, which was what Mahomes does, right? I'd say Caleb Williams, I think he's a maestro. I think he's like a jazz clarinetist in a like an improvised jazz band that goes off on these crazy improvised solos, and you're like, this is weird. Where's this going? And then he pulls it off. His like changes of tempo and direction when he's moving, his suddenness and smoothness is incredible. And I think that's what draws the comparisons to Mahomes. But it's not the same as Bryce Young. Bryce Young was kind of like rolling out, escaping the pocket, running with the flow, and then picking a pass. Caleb Williams is just, I mean, you just watch him when he's got the ball, he's got pressure. No one can tackle him. He's doing like little stutter steps, amazing pocket ability. He patrols the backfield like a panther waiting to pounce. Like he's waiting for things to develop. He sees his target and then he fires downfield. He's absolutely incredible, and I'm not going to hold back. He is my
red star.
Whoa!
He is just that one thing that he does, which is just roam around, navigating pressure, finding weak spots in the defense, is special.
He has a lot of those. How do you do that plays? And he has the mechanics, and he has the accuracy on the deep ball. Very sexy deep ball. As a few of the guys in this class have, actually.
He's on the spectrum between Mahomes and our very own Big Ben. Like those kind of like backyard Ben plays where he's like spinning around, and he seems to know where his receivers are when his back's turned. Like it's like cognition of the field. It's like a combination of understanding his wideouts and also incredibly swift processing and a very quick release. It just makes him very dangerous.
Plays well out of structure, right? Off platform. He's back. That's the other thing. If he gets under pressure and he's backed up, he can just launch the ball off 1 foot, leading backwards, and it's still, you know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't seem to affect his velocity and the arc of the ball. He can extend the play for 3 seconds, rolling out, evading the sack. He doesn't really need any time to reset himself, right? Just hurl the beauty downfield.
This dude is brilliant. Don't get me wrong. One of my biggest concerns about it is he's getting so many comparisons to Patrick Mahomes. Is that what people are just going to expect from him right from the off? Are they just going to expect him on, let's face it looks like it's most likely going to be Chicago at this point. Are they really going to expect him to be playing at that level that early on in that system? But the one good thing about it is he has got experience playing behind a horrific offensive line. Like that offensive line for the Trojans was absolutely terrible in 2023. And you kind of saw that because obviously he had the Heisman winning 2022. He had a spectacular 2022. It was, even though there was a little bit of a drop off in 2023 because the team wasn't as good around him, he was still putting up insane numbers, like ridiculous numbers that he was putting up. But I think, overall, this guy is just insane. And you say, his improvisational skills, the way he plays off schedule, it's just utterly superb. His touch, his power on his arm, His accuracy is superb. It just makes it look easy. He's one of those QBs that really does make the game look really easy. My only concerns, I do feel like at times and in certain games, he's trying to make every play massive. And in that way, you're seeing some quite frustrating moves. Like he does hold on to the ball too long sometimes, and it will result in some of these really ugly looking strip sacks that you've seen in a couple of bits of tape. So I do think in some respect he needs to calm it down a bit and accept the check down sometimes. I do think he's just trying to look for the big play every time on occasion. So if he can kind of get that more under control and, you know, be a little bit more on schedule, maybe that's the whole thing.
It's interesting though, don't you think he never looks panicked though, or never looks out of control?
He never looks out of control. Absolutely. But that can also be detrimental because
it can. I mean, I'm guessing you watched the Notre Dame game where he threw 3 interceptions.
Yeah, you showed me that. Yeah,
he definitely struggled with the pressure. Took some sacks. The O-line was bad, as you said. Made some ill-advised throws. Was 24-3 down at the half. It was just like a disaster. But I still didn't think he panicked. He didn't collapse. You know, I think he was still trying to win the game. It felt like they were in the game. So, you know, bad games are possible. But I think he's got the resilience to not do a Drake May, basically, or, you know, do a hero ball. I think you can mold him. I think he's got the calmness that, you know, if he understands the system he's in, and in a professional league where it's not everything's about him. Hopefully he goes to a team, well, it's probably the Bears, but hopefully he goes to a team where there's other playmakers that, you know, like Mahomes has got Kelsey, right? There's other guys that can step up and be the hero. There was no one really on that team, was there, that was going to step up and do that. So he had to be the creator.
Exactly.
So you know, I think get him into an NFL team. You ease him in gently, and I think there's big things ahead for this dude.
How does Caleb Williams deal with pressure? He sits on the sidelines, he cries, and he paints his fingernails.
Well, okay, this is the character concerns. Go ahead.
Okay, so he has a list of goals on his phone. He wanted a second Heisman. He wanted a national championship. He talks about accountability, culture, these kind of things. There's some good things in there theoretically, but then after the Washington lost 52-42, he cried with his mum after 3 losses in 4 weeks. He wants to go home, cuddle with his dog, and watch some TV. Is this just a case he's so in the spotlight and he's put that team so much on his back? Are we just seeing a real reaction? Ultimately, this is a young dude. These are all like young kids that we're talking about, basically, that are stepping up into a man's league. He's clearly passionate. He clearly cares. Yeah.
So is it about more than the nail painting? Is it like the nail painting is indicative of something that is...
I think if you're a Bud Light, you know, refuser, this kind of thing doesn't help you.
Right. Well, this is what I'm trying to understand. Is it a real thing, or is it just like a nonsense thing? Sorry, Kets.
Well,
you go on. Maybe you can explain.
I'm just putting out there that you guys have obviously been really positive about it, and I'm just kind of pouring a little bit of water and saying, whoa, hang on a minute, there's some concerns here. That's all I'm doing.
Do you think you could be a George Pickens of quarterbacks?
No, because I support George Pickens fully and have done ever since I red-starred him on the show many years ago.
Sure. But overly emotional is what you're saying.
Glitter nail polish, not a good sign.
He does have a potential to not be a bust in the NFL, but he has a potential that his character concerns could come back in a big spot when a team don't want them to, potentially.
Is it not just flamboyance?
I've got to say,
which is fine.
I have to harp on this. What are the character concerns? I'm really struggling with this.
Well, there's just things that have been taken away from games that he's played in where people are looking at him, and obviously he's been touted as this number one prospect for quite a while now, and there's just question marks that people have raised about his character. What's he like?
Body language thing.
It's his off the field. It's a little bit body language. It's a little bit like, how is he going to deal with the pressure of the NFL in a big spot?
He's still suckling on mummy's
boobies.
I
see. Yeah. Right. Okay. I'm starting to understand. So it's a he seems to still be a little bit childish, a little bit reliant, maybe not mature.
Yeah.
It's
a maturity concern, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the biggest thing in that is his dad. That's what a lot of people are concerned about, is that his dad's, he was the one who came back in September saying that Caleb might return to school if the right draft pick isn't there? And that was around the time that Arizona was picking number 1. So there was a lot of talk that maybe it was going to be an Eli Manning sort of situation with Archie Manning. So yeah, that is definitely a big concern that's still being highlighted now by some people.
Just looking purely at this from a statistical perspective, which obviously takes out any kind of different opinions or thoughts people may have on him, he is the 11th best quarterback in this draft in terms of passing yards. He had a 68.6 completion percentage, so there's other people that have got higher. Did have 30 touchdowns this season compared to 5 interceptions, and did have 11 rushing touchdowns as well. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. I'm by no means kind of pouring water on it to a certain extent, but I'm just highlighting that there are some other off-the-field issues which we need to look at.
I think you have to. He definitely he's a ball tapper. And I'm not completely convinced by his deep ball accuracy. He does have a nice deep ball, but sometimes the ball placement can be a little bit off.
He's a heel clicker.
He's a little bit of a heel clicker. Minor accuracy concerns. You do see clean throws without perfect ball placement, but it might be a product of him always searching for the big play, which I think one of you mentioned already.
If you talk about mechanics, there is points where he's launching a ball off balance on his back foot, and he does have a ridiculous arm, which allows him to get away with it, I think. But in a more professional league that have defensive coordinators that have got a plan for him, he's going to be put under some different looks, some different pressure, different coverages. It's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on at the next level. But in terms of our kind of process, and we're coming back to a kind of a draft grade and trying to put a number on it. Mm-hmm. Draft at all costs, priority target, at value, falling target, avoid. I have got him at value. If I'm the Bears, I'm willing to listen to other offers. If someone's throwing me 3 first-round picks, I'm going to take that over Caleb Williams at 1. If he's falling to 2 or 3, I think at that point, depending on who else is on the board, if my red star's not on there, I'd maybe consider pulling the trigger at that point. But I'm not chasing this guy, round Michigan when it comes to the draft night and trying to, make sure that he ends up on my franchise. I think there are some concerns there, which, obviously we don't get to interview all these guys, but his interviews with some of these teams are going to be very pivotal as to whether he gets drafted by them or not.
Interesting. I'm draft at all costs. I think this guy is a generational talent. I think him always searching for the big play is a product of him waiting for the last second to release the ball. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's him holding the ball. It's not Mason Rudolph not sure what he's seeing, trying to catch up. His computer is trying to catch up with the information. It's not that. It's he's processed all the information and he's hoping that what he thinks he's going to see happens. So I think it's coachable. I think his foibles, he's definitely more comfortable with the deep ball and the short passes than the intermediate. He's like the anti-Kenny Pickett, right? Mm. I think there could be, timing, stressing him to play within structure, to play within the system. Let's practice. Let's get rhythm passing game going with your receivers, and then you could do the crazy creation stuff. But we know he's got that floor. We know he can do stuff that other people can't do. So for me, he's special.
Yeah, it does seem to me that he has the highest caliber tools by far of anyone in the class. I'm not red starring him because it's kind of boring, but he would be my number 1 QB. God, that was a throw of shade at you, wasn't it, Gav?
That's fine. I don't care.
I didn't even mean it like that, but I just...
That's the same shade you gave me when you read out my Bryce Young red star last year.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't care. I didn't want a red star.
You know what?
It's just the way the class fell.
Gav, I support it. It's a +2 on your thing, then that's fine. That is what the red star is. You're banging the table for the guy. It doesn't matter where he gets drafted.
Right.
I would be in the middle. I think I put it as a +1. I think I'm closer to you, Gav, than Ketz, I think, in the way that we've all spoken about him, but just in the sense that I don't know, I'm not quite ready to say that I'm 100% certain. Maybe I've just been stung. I'm a little bit nervous about the Bryce Young thing, but and now I'm very nervous about what brand of nail polish he's using. That's concerned me greatly. So
I think Bryce Young was an outlier. I don't think that should inform the decision.
No,
of
I
Caleb
know,
Williams.
but I just wonder if subconsciously that's why maybe I'm not getting, as over my skis about it a little bit. But as with all these guys, it's the translation into an NFL offense that scares me, right? And it's just so hard to necessarily know how different guys are going to go along with that, right? Brock Purdy excelled at that. Trey Lance didn't, and it's hard to necessarily know which of these guys, despite all the tools and all the mechanics and all the interviews that you watch.
He's not just tools, though, is he?
No, he's not. No, he's
there
way
is
refined.
a cerebral element to his game that's special as well.
But like I say, I'm close to you. I'm going to stick with a +1. I'm not. Yeah, I'm going to let you be the bang the table guy. This can be your dude. You can live in your house, your stable.
Okay, well, let's see what Mark's got to say.
I mean, yeah, he will be. He can be your guy. That's fine. But I think I would side with Gav on being the +2. I think this is who Chicago needs to be getting. 100%. That he's got to go number 1. I think.
I think I agree.
I say that, and then I'll come on to a Red Star in a bit. But no, I think that would be the correct move for them. And it's an elite talent that will be very, very interesting to see if he can continue it in the NFL.
I'm still, even after watching him, I'm still 50-50 on this Fields decision. It's so hard.
It's sunk cost fallacy. Is it a fallacy in this case? I don't know. You've had a guy in your system for a while. He feels like he's developing.
That was my big problem. Yeah, that was my big problem. And like early viewing of Caleb Williams, I thought, well, is this guy better? This guy is Justin Fields. Let alone is he better than Justin Fields? But yeah, when you get deeper into it, I think no, this is what Chicago needs to be doing.
I don't think he's the straight ahead run threat that Justin Fields is.
No.
So when you're thinking about Chicago, cold weather games, is this the guy you want? Is Caleb Williams the guy you want if you're Chicago? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure he meshes with them philosophically.
It's a fascinating decision. It's one of the best we've had in years.
You've got to think as well. Take the specific individual player out of this. A number 1 overall is worth 3 first-round picks most years. Is this guy your first pick for the next 3 years? You've almost got to put it in a draft day scenario and go, that's the decision.
I mean, if I was Miami, this is the guy, right? With that team, I think summer team, put him down there. He can paint his nails on Miami Beach Strip. Fine.
That's part of it, right? He has to go to the right. That's the thing with Mahomes that we all forget, right? I mean, Bryce Young has landed on an awful Panthers team, right? Not to say that he will or won't succeed anywhere else or whatever, but we got to remember that Mahomes fell in a very great spot where he was afforded the time to sit and learn, and then was able to really execute on his talents after he was a little polished. He's not going to get that, Caleb Williams. So I don't know, unless the Bears take him and sit him behind Fields, which would be interesting. But Ketz, I am hearing you. I mean, if I was the Bears, I would be keeping my cards very close to my chest on this one. I would be really, really paying a lot of attention to the interview process. How do you feel about him? Are we really confident that this guy is the kind of person? Not forget the mechanics and the tape, obviously, but we know he's a great player and he's got the tools. Let's focus on the guy. Do we believe that he fits our organization and our culture, and are we comfortable with him over Justin Fields? That's where I would be focusing if I was the Bears.
I'd be fascinated to hear as this process goes on whether your opinion changes on his side because of vibes.
Yeah, well, that is interesting. Yeah, I will let you know as things